Hello everyone, what's up? It's me again, Young Monster 3, and today it's time for a new pretty damn big update video because I just figured out, well, since it is the whole quarantine time, I'm just decided to just go totally bonkers and just buy some films. And actually, some of these films have never been shown on my channel. Not never shown, that sounds really weird, but I've had some of these films in my collection for quite some time, some of these. So all of these aren't really like particularly like new to me, but yeah. Well, I'm just mumbling right now. I'm gonna start with all of the other genre films before, and then I'm gonna end the video with all of the horror films. So yeah, keep your eyes open for that. So let's begin with the other films. First up, we have a triple pack with Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger films. I know this looks really weird because it was just some weird sticker here on the front cover when I bought the film. But the films in this box set is The Last Stand, Bullet to the Head, and Escape Plan. So yeah, the first one has Arnold Schwarzenegger in it, and the second one, Bullet to the Head, is the one with Sylvester Stallone, and Escape Plan is the one where both of them appear. Um, I think they made a sequel or two sequels to Escape Plan, if I'm not totally wrong, but yeah, it can just be me. So that's the first one, and then I picked up this one, Terence Hill and Bud Spencer Classic Collection Volume 3. I already had Volume 1 and Volume 2 before. And when I read up about this particular box set, I actually already have one of these films in my collection, the one that's called Today We Kill, Tomorrow We Die. But the other ones that are included in this box set is God Forgives, I Don't, Body Goes West, The Troublemakers, and Blackie the Pirate. So yeah, that's all the Bud Spencer and Terence Hill movies in that. And then one of my good friends on YouTube, um, DVD Review Studios, I believe his YouTube name is. I just completely lost my memory right now, but I watched one of his films where he reviewed all of the Planet of the Apes films, and I just decided to, mainly because of his like review of it, I decided to pick up the latest Planet of the Apes trilogy, which came out. The first one, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, came out in 2011, and then Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and War of the Planet of the Apes. So it's 2011, 2014, and 2017. So yeah, and I've only heard really good things about these films. So yeah, but his review of these films mainly was the main reason why I picked up these films. So decided to give them a shot. Now I've been mumbling for almost 3 minutes, so I need to speed up a little bit. The next one is a film called War Inc. This is sort of a blind buy. I think I did watch this at one point on TV, but that was ages ago. I think it was around when this came out, so it's like 2009 or something. Yeah, and this was gonna go out of print, so I was like, oh, better grab this before it goes for stupid money. So yeah. Now let's see, and the next one is, I'm not too sure if this is like an action film or a horror film. I think it has both of those elements to it. So, and the movie is Upgrade, and this is, I've only heard really good things about this one, and I think this is directed by Lee Wannell, the guy who appeared in the Saw films, the guy who played, was it Adam, his character. Yeah, all of you probably already know about this, but yeah, Upgrade. Supposed to be really good for a newer film. And then we have, this looks absolutely bonkers, and that's the reason why I picked it up. This is some sort of blaxploitation film from the 70s, and the film is called Disco Godfather. This is a German release of the film, but I'm just glad that it has English language, because sometimes when it comes to German releases, they only have the films but dubbed into German, which I'm not a good fan of. I'm not a big fan of that. Now the next one I picked up is part of the retro film collection or whatever, which I'm planning to pick up all of these films under that label, because I only have the Island, I think it's called, the Island, MS-45, and now this one. But this one I mainly picked up because it's directed by Ralph Bakshi, and the film is Fritz the Cat. and I'm a big fan of Ralph Bakshi in general, and especially Wizards and Fire and Ice. I think those are his best films. I also do like what's that other film called? The Lord of the Rings adaptation that he did. I actually do like that film, but I know very many people seem to hate that film, but I think it's all right. Then talking about hated films, I've only heard people bashing on this all the time because this is nowhere near as good as the book. The book is so much better. This adaptation is just terrible, according to very many people. But I watched this film without knowing it was based on a book, so maybe that's the reason why I enjoy it much more than everyone else. It seems like. So the movie is Aragon. I do not think this is as bad as many people make it out to be, but that's like I mentioned before. That's probably because I haven't read the book. So, and I think this is another one that was supposed to go out of print. So, to pick that one up, and then we have a complete blind buy. I just read a little bit about the plot, and the plot sounded really interesting. And the film is called Boys on the Run, which was released in the early 2000s, and it's apparently about some boys that just escapes from some sort of prison, I believe, and they're on the run from the law, and the law is chasing them, and they're just they just go into hiding in the woods or something. It just sounds really interesting to me. So yeah, Boys on the Run. Then we have, this is actually a Swedish title of the film, but the original title is The Heroes of the Telemark, which I think is supposed to be based off of true events that took place in Norway during the Second World War. And yeah, that's one of the main reasons why I picked it up. And also it has Kirk Douglas in it, I believe. Yeah, Kirk Douglas and Richard Harris. So yeah, I just think it's a little bit a shame that happens sometimes when you order films from the internet. But yeah, that's the postal service for you, I guess, sometimes. And then this one I mainly picked up because it looks so damn ridiculous and so stupid, and might be so bad it's good, I'm not too sure, but the movie is called Undercover Brother. Just look at that cover art, it looks so damn stupid, but I think some people compare this with the Austin Powers movies, which I unfortunately haven't seen yet, but I've known about them for quite some time. And then finally I picked up Tough and Deadly with Billy Blanks and Roddy Piper. The main reason why I picked this one up was because of Billy Blanks, because I think I have next to all of his films that he made back in the 90s. And to be honest, I think he didn't really make that many other films after the 90s. I think the 90s was really his prime time, if you get what I mean. So yeah, Tough and Deadly. And some blind buy, a film called Naked Weapon, some sort of action film from the early 2000s. This was out of print, so I grabbed it for a very decent price, so I figured, why the hell not? And then I picked up Roman Polanski's film called Knife in the Water, and I believe this was his very first film that he directed. Yeah, some sort of drama film. I mean, when I read about the plot to this, it really reminded me of Voyage to Agatis, the Mariandora film. It just seems like it had a similar type of plot. But yeah, I'm not really sure. Maybe Mariandora was influenced by this. I'm not too sure because I haven't seen The Knife in the Water yet. But yeah. Then we have some Western films. This is a sort of a blind buy, and also I know it was out of print, so I grabbed it for this was next to nothing I got this for. So Texas Rangers, Western film from the early 2000s. Seems like the Western genre isn't really the biggest anymore. I mean, it seems like there isn't that many Western films that has gotten a release yet. Not a release, but seems like they don't make that many Western films anymore. That's what I wanted to say. Talking about Westerns, then I picked up another film by Sam Peckinpah, the film called Ride the High Country from the early 60s. I've really started to get more and more into Sam Peckinpah's films because I did watch The Iron Cross and The Wild Bunch not that long ago, and I loved both of those films. I also have, what's the film called? Pat Garrett and Bill the Kid in my collection as well. I have seen that before, but I really need to rewatch it because it was such a long time since I watched it. And then this one I'm so glad to have because I just can't wait to finally check this one out because it has Sylvester Stallone and Dolly Parton in it, and the film is called Rhinestone. And apparently, I mean, we all know that Dolly Parton, she is a really great singer. I mean, she can really sing country really well. But I also want to see Sylvester Stallone, his performance in this, because I've heard he's supposed to be singing a whole lot in this film. So, and something that really shocked me, this is actually directed by Bob Clark, the guy who directed Black Christmas. So that's interesting. Then we have finally picked up the Untouchables. I've never seen this one, and I've heard this is one of the best like mobster type of films of all time. So yeah, finally got it. Now I really need to speed up. Then we have The 25th Hour. This is directed by Spike Lee. This is from the early 2000s, I believe. I read a little bit about the plot, and the plot sounded really interesting. So yeah, that's the reason why I picked it up. And then another Stallone film, a film called Detox. Some sort of mix between action and horror, and sometimes I'm a big fan of that when they mix action and horror really well, and especially if it has practical effects in it as well. Oh, I really need to move these movies away before I completely fail. Then we have a film called Stay with, let's see here, Ewan McGregor, Naomi Watts, and Ryan Gosling. I think Ryan Gosling, he's one of those actors that I think is good, but he just seems like he's way too overrated for me. But yeah, I've only heard really good things about this one, and this is supposed to be very underrated or like unknown. It seems like there isn't really that many people that talk about this one, so yeah. Then I picked up a film which I'm a big fan of. I really like this one, and I'm trying to probably like get a hold of the third one as well, because I already have the first one and this one now. So yeah, Rush Hour 2. I think I like this more than the first one, but maybe I'm just in the minority. The third one was probably the weakest, but I still thought it was quite funny. But really great chemistry between Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan, in my opinion. So yeah. And then some ultra gory splatter film, which I probably had before, but or did I have this before? I'm not too sure. But Story of Ricky. If you haven't seen this one and you like gory films, go check this one out right away. This is one of the goriest and most splatter in a film, or whatever you want to call it, that I've ever seen. Probably Adam Chaplin is a little bit more gorier, but yeah, what the hell. The next one is another Sam Peckinpah film, and I think this was one of the very last films that he directed before he died. The movie is TheUlster Man, Weekend. I think this is based off of a novel. Based off some... Yeah, I'm not too sure. It's based off of some sort of novel. And yeah, the main reason why I picked this one up was because it was directed by Sam Peckinpah. So yeah, there you go. Then we have Shalako. I'm not really sure if I butchered the title or not, but with Sean Connery and Brigitte Bardot. Yeah, some Western action type of deal. Let's see here. I'm just going to put these up here. Then we have... This is a film I've been wanting to get for such a long time. The movie is La Bamba, which is I think was probably Lou Diamond Phillips' like breakout role, which he... Yeah, after this he became really popular in the movie industry. And I've only heard really, really good things about this one. And yeah, La Bamba. Now let's see. The next one is... What is this even called in English? The Three Colors films. The blue film, the white film, and the red film. I'm not really sure if you call it like that, because these are French films, but directed by a Polish guy, I believe. So yeah, and these are supposed to be classics, and I've never seen any of them, so decided to pick them up because they were pretty damn expensive almost everywhere I looked, and I finally got it for a really good price. So yeah. Now let's see here. Need to move these away, and we're gonna continue with the... Now we are all into the horror films. So I'm not too sure if every single title in this is like horror films or like, yeah, but whatever. We're gonna start off with a film called Trespassers. I really like the cover art of this. This is the main reason why I picked it up. So yeah, might be good, might be bad, don't really know. So we'll see how it goes. Then this might be more of a comedy than a horror film, but just the cover art just screams horror film to me. So yeah, the film is called Kill Your Friends. So yeah, this is another one I picked up because it was gonna go out of print. So yeah. And then a film which got recommended to me by one of my friends, a film called Ready or Not. So yeah, let's check that one out. Then some newer zombie film, I believe, and I really like the fact that it says on the front of this cover that it says "fun and gory as hell." The movie is called Blood Quantum. Blood Quantum. I'm probably butchering the title, but yeah, this looks awesome. Then we have. This is such a weird release because this is another one which was gonna go out of print, but the movie is called Stir of Echoes 1 and 2, and for some reason they have like the cover art for part 2 on the front cover, and down here you have the cover art for the first film, which I think is really weird. Shouldn't it be the opposite? Yeah, I don't know, but the first one I've only heard really good things about. It has Kevin Bacon, I believe, in it. Yeah, I think it's some sort of psychological horror film or like thriller horror type of deal. So yeah. Then we have a French or Canadian film maybe. That is another like zombie film, I believe. A film called Mutants that came out in 2009, I believe. So yeah. This isn't really a horror film, but I really like this documentary, and this was a pain in the ass to get a hold of for so many years, and I finally found it. And I'm a big fan of this band, and I'm a big fan of the whole genre in general. So Once Upon a Time in Norway, which basically a documentary about the band Mayhem and everything that went down in Norway in the late 80s and early 90s. So yeah, if you're into black metal and you haven't seen this one, go check this one out. They really go into detail about what really happened. Don't check out that god awful Lords of Chaos film. It was fucking terrible. Then we have a classic. I've been told this is a classic. Well, it has classic actors in it. It has Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, and Telly Savalas in it. The movie is called Horror Express. This is a really weird looking release because it has. I actually thought this was a bootleg at first because the title was like on the opposite direction, or when you put it in yourself, it just doesn't fit. So yeah, Horror Express, only heard good things about that one. Then we have, I think this was a part of some sort of TV show or something, or like an episode film series or whatever in Italy. And this is the only one that I could get a hold of because I don't think the other ones have ever been released. And the movie is called Dinner with the Vampire, which is directed by Lamberto Bava, who is the son of Mario Bava, of course. I really love this cover art, but the company that released this, I'm not really sure if you can see that, Horse Creek Entertainment, they are really famous over here in Sweden for basically releasing pretty damn crappy releases of films, because they most of the time it's just VHS quality, and sometimes they might be cut in one way or another, but sometimes this is the only way to get a hold of some of these films. But something that I think is really funny though is that it says here in the back, but in Swedish, a horror film for the entire family, and then it just underneath it says rated R for violence. How can a horror film be meant for the entire family if it just says rated R for violence? Hypocritical. Now let's see, the next one is a film released by Eureka, and I'm probably gonna butcher the title of this film. Kuroko, Japanese horror film from the 60s. I'm a big fan of that company that releases those films in general, Eureka. Then we have, I'm not really sure if this really is a horror film or not, because I think this is like PG-13 or PG. I know there is like horror films that have like PG-13 ratings, so it doesn't really make sense why I said that, but the film is called Visitors of the Night, some sort of sci-fi made-for-TV film from the mid-90s. And then another sci-fi film, which is directed by Geoff Murphy, who directed Under Siege 2, Young Guns 2, and Free Jack. All films which I'm a big fan of. So the film is called The Quiet Earth, from the mid 80s, I believe. So this has been on my wish list for quite some time. Now you know what? I'm just gonna take all of these films up here, so I don't need to bend down all the damn time to get the films. Next couple of films are trauma films, or like trauma released films. First up we have Maniac Nurses. This looks like some shot on Shidio type of deal, so you never know. And then we have, this is supposed to be really bad, but just that cover art just made me want to buy this film. The film is called Alien Blood. Look at that cover art. I really love the cover art, but something tells me the film is probably going to be crap. Then we have Hellblock 13, some sort of anthology film with Gunnar Hansen and Gunnar Hansen, of course, the original Leatherface, and Debbie Rochon. So yeah, gonna be interesting to check that one out. Then we have a film which I actually have seen before, but I wasn't that big fan of this film, to be honest. But I decided to pick it up because it's a slasher from the 80s, and I'm just a collector for those films in general. So I decided, well, I better get this because I rarely see this for sale anywhere. So, Girls' School Screamers. Yeah. Unless you're a hardcore like 80s slasher fan, I wouldn't bother just to pick it up, but yeah. Then we have I think this is a short film. No, it's a full-length film. A film by the same guy who directed 100 Tears, and the film is called Rot, which came out in the late 90s. I think this was one of his very first films that he released, or directed, so yeah, Rot. Then we have a double pack with Carnosaur and Cornosaur II. I already had the first Carnosaur and Carnosaur 3, so the main reason why I picked up this one was because of Carnosaur 2. Yeah, I think I've heard some mixed things about these. Some people say that these films are really so bad they're good, so yeah, I was just thinking, well, those films I'm a big fan of in general, so yeah. The next one I picked up is Mask of Murder, which is supposed to be like filmed here in Sweden, like in Uppsala actually, which is like a place north of Stockholm. Even though I think someone stated that this was filmed somewhere in Canada, it was actually filmed in Sweden most of the time. So, and this has Christopher Lee in it, and he's apparently some sort of detective, like chasing after some serial killer. So yeah, Mask of Murder. Now the last films in this update is going to be 4 Blu-ray films. Now I've almost talked for like 24 minutes, so I'm going to speed up a little bit. First up we have Who Done It, a slasher film from the early 80s, which I has been trying to get a hold of for such a long time, and some of these releases by Vinegar Syndrome, they aren't really that easy to come across at all. So yeah, when I found this, I just thought, well, I better buy it before it goes out of print. So yeah, Who Done It. This is also known as Island of Blood or Island of Death. I'm not too sure. I think it's Island of Blood, to be honest. So okay, it doesn't say on the back, I believe. Island of Blood. Yeah, that's the title that I was thinking of. So yeah. Then we have a film directed by none other than Jose Ramon Larraz. Probably butchered his name, but he was the guy who directed. I think he was the guy who directed The Edge of the Axe, which I was a big fan of. So I decided to pick this one up, and the film is called Rest in Pieces. Look at that cover art. It's just amazing. And then I picked up, this is another one which I was really lucky to get a hold of, because this is the Vinegar Syndrome release, and I think the 88 Films release, they were supposed to release this under the 88 Films release label. That's what I'm talking about. Now you already saw the film where I'm talking about, but yeah, Blood Harvest, Blood Harvest, sorry, with the Tiny Tim, and I think it was some sort of issue with the releasing by 88 Films, because they released some copies of it, but then they just couldn't release it anymore because they didn't have the rights to it. So there was only a couple of, not really that many people that got a hold of the film that was released on the 88 Films release label. So yeah, now I'm just completely mumbling here, but yeah, Blood Harvest. And the last film for this update is going to be Pulse, a Japanese horror film from the early 2000s. And this actually did get some sort of remake after a while, which I'm not really that interested to check out before watching this one. So if I like this one, I might give the remake a chance. But when it comes to ghost films made by the Japanese, the Americans most of the time really screw up. So yeah, that's the sad truth, really. So yeah, but Pulse. So now I've been mumbling for almost 26 minutes. I'm just gonna shut up right now and yeah. I'm gonna try to make some more top 10 lists as well. I was actually thinking of making a top 10 shot on video films that I've watched. So yeah, keep your eyes open for that video, and yeah, see you next time. Bye bye.